All right, today we're going to talk about riffing with the major scale, which you should never, ever do. Trust me, never do it. But we're going to learn how to do it because it's an excellent foil for learning how to riff with the minor scale and just kind of getting better to know your intervals. So if you didn't see the minor scale video I did in this first, check that in the description. I'll put a link. But essentially what it is we're going to play the entire E major scale on one string. So we're going to get a good idea of what the E major scale sounds like in a riff situation, okay? And the reason we're doing it on one string is because we make the tonal center E so you don't accidentally just slip into its minor scale and just riff away, because that's what the minor scale is for, which we're going to get to in a second. But essentially the major scale on one string is really easy. It's open, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. Okay? So in intervals would be a note, whole, half, whole, half. All right, so we're going to get really familiar with this. If you don't know how to do this on one string already, really just drill it, because it's not too hard, especially if you break it into kind of halves. The first one, right there, open, 2, 4, 5. And then from there, just go to the next maybe dot on inlay on your guitar. Open, 2, 4, 5. Then go a whole step from there. Kind of symmetrical, right? Open, 2 frets higher, 2 frets higher, 1 fret higher. 2 frets higher, 2 frets higher, 1 fret higher. Okay? Now, to riff it, as one does, we're going to put a lot of these E notes in between the notes that we're going for. Okay? Now, the reason that I don't think this really sounds great is because it ends up sounding too happy. A lot of people say the major scale sounds really happy. And the thing that kind of make it different from the minor scale, specifically, is going to be, especially in a riff context, I think, is really going to be the 3rd and the 7th. Okay? So the 3rd being right there, that 4th fret on the low E string. Okay? If we jump right to there, it already sounds like we have a major chord going on. E major would be the chord. Even with, like, you know, crappy distortion on this amp, that doesn't make me feel terror in my soul. It almost makes me feel hopeful. And then the major 7 from here is going to be the octave, 12th fret, back a half step. Okay, so if you tried to riff using these very signature major things, it kind of ends up sounding like... Okay, so it's not really... I mean, you cannot make it sound heavy. Even if you put this through like a Mesa triple rack, and you're like... It's never really going to sound that heavy, because that major 3rd and that major 7 are making it so major, it just makes you want to kind of die, you know? But super important still, because it tells you what you're looking for in a riff and kind of how these intervals relate to each other, all right? So again, maybe just take it half at a time, like I said. I do think this is kind of an excellent tool to have if maybe you're like writing a theme for like a game show or something that's kind of silly. Also, if you just want to like annoy somebody with a riff, riffing in the major scale is the perfect thing. Like, let's just take the those first 4 notes. Like, you can just riff that all day and all night, and it would really get on people's nerves. I think my favorite example of this is any song by Andrew WK. If you don't know who he is, legendary party starter. There's a riff in, I think it's Party Hard is the name of that song, that is straight up the E major scale, but at a higher octave. I think it's up here. It's like... Okay, so it kind of has... You might already be hearing the sound of what a major scale riff is, which definitely has displacement. I'm just kind of like, you know, kidding for the most part. But super important to know, and learning it on one string really helps you kind of identify the tonal center of it, because we're kind of chugging this low E string a lot. Therefore, the E majorness is just permeating through anything that we could ever do. Because again, there's a minor scale in here. Like if we take the octave E and go back 3 frets, right here, the 9th fret on the low E string, C sharp. Minor is where the minor scale would be, but having this almost kind of pedal tone or droning of an E stops us from slipping into there. So it's a really good just kind of example of the difference that a major third or a major 7 will make in the context of maybe single notes things, or even off of like chords. That's just a root note, it's major third, and it's major 7th. Now, if we were to make those minor, all we have to do is flatten each of those. So instead of open and 4, and 11 and 12, we'd have open and 3, and 10 and 12. And already it sounds more like a Tool song, just by using the minor third and the minor 7, okay? So let's just do an example of some just really super basic riff in major and then change it to minor. So maybe it's like, I'm just going like down, down, up, major third, down, down, up, major 7th, E. Now let's make it minor. So I think you can kind of tell that one of those is way better than the other. Again, totally my opinion. Riff out, rock out on the major scale as much as you want. But learning those intervals and being able to kind of like hear the differences between those can really help you kind of take a song in whatever direction you want. If you want maybe part of a song to be more uplifting or whatever, start using those major scale intervals and just start driving home maybe kind of like a pedal tone or a droning of the root note of the major key that you want to stay in. Or if you want to completely avoid that, now you know how to avoid that. And it's all by knowing your intervals, whether it's major thirds, major 7s, minor 7s, the other ones that are in those scales. Invaluable stuff to know, and it will only help you in your rocking and riffing for years to come. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.